We went with something that was screamy and squealy, and at one point Colin used the term annoying. You know, you just want this thing, you hate it. And we definitely needed to give it mass. So there's walrus in it, there's whale, there's beluga whale, there's lion, there's big pigs. So a lot of the body of the Indominus, to give it its size, is still large animals. But then there's
I've heard enough. Let's go!
Friends of the internet, welcome to Cordkillers. Our mission to report the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so that you have control over what you watch, when you watch it, where you watch it, what device you watch it on. I'm Tom Merritt, and Brian Brushwood is on assignment in France. Not even a lie, as much as it sounds like it. Not on assignment by us, but somebody assigned him to go to France, and he's there now. So filling in for him, thank goodness, we have representing the multiple lobes of his brain, Mr. Fraser Kane of Universe Today. Welcome back to Cordkillers, sir. Thanks for filling in, man.
Thank you so much. And today I will be Brian's rational hemisphere.
All right, you're claiming irrational, all the rational lobes.
I don't know whether is that the left brain, the right? I forget which one it is, but I'm the one that will make rational choices about which chords must be killed and why.
Logic, reasoning covered. That leaves any kind of creativity or autonomic systems to Justin Robert Young of Night Attack, Daily Tech News Show, Jury More, and more. You cool with that, Justin?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think it's about time that somebody really spoke up for poor Brian. He's got a hard time really expressing himself, and I'm going to finally bring that perspective to what has long been lacking on this show.
The shrinking violet that is Brian Brushwood.
Yeah.
It's about time. Thank goodness. Hopefully you can rehabilitate him. No, we're gonna miss Brian. And he felt bad about like, well, you can do the show without me. And I said, look, you did the show without me last year for a day. We should be able to do this. We got it covered. So I'm looking forward to it, man. The one thing I can't do is tell you about that intro video, but I bet Bryce can.
Yeah.
Bryce, where did you dig that up?
I got that on Dig. But it's a SoundWorks video. You can find it on Vimeo if you search Jurassic World Shriek, and it talks about the sound layers that they used to make the Andromeda dinosaur and
Andromeda?
Something like, I haven't seen the movie. The new dinosaur in Jurassic World and the different animals that they used to make that shriek.
Indominus Rex. Big pig. I like the fact that they're using a big pig. One of my best friends in kindergarten was son of a pig farmer. Just saying. Yeah. Let's look at the primary target. Hey, so during E3, we didn't get a lot of Cordkillers news this year, unlike when Microsoft tried to turn the Xbox into a set-top box. But Sony did announce a couple of things about PlayStation Vue. For one, their on the PS4 television service will now be available in Los Angeles and San Francisco, in addition to Chicago, New York City, and Philadelphia. If you don't remember, it's television service, about 50 channels. Packages start at $50. It doesn't have any ABC Disney stuff, but it does have broadcast networks from CBS and NBC and Fox. It has FX. It has Bravo, channels like that. They also got very smug, I would say, about the fact that they're going to have a la carte channels. And I'm not sure which lobe of the brain the BS detector is, but tell me if this sounds exciting as an offering of a la carte channels. Sony made a big deal about we're the first to offer a la carte channels starting in July. Showtime for $11. Vox Soccer Plus for $15. And Machinima for $4.
You know, what's interesting about that is, you know, you have what is effectively a features race. You know, we have semi kind of commoditized what a set-top box network is over the past year and a half. You've got Sling TV and a few players that are in there. So now what PlayStation Vue wants to do is effectively win the feature list battle. So it's, hey, our version of this has your local television networks, which is allegedly why Apple didn't or is having trouble rolling out their nationwide service. Of course, this can only be done because they're rolling it out city by city and they're making deals with the individual networks as opposed to the nationwide conglomerate. And we have a la carte channels, which has long been the nursed boner of Cordkillers the world round, that you could pay for exactly the channels you want as opposed to the packages that make them cheaper. Yet it's exactly the same kind of channels that we've always had a la carte. So if you are into that big feature, war, then yeah, PlayStation made a hell of a play there. But otherwise, I don't know exactly what differentiates this from some of the other offerings that we've seen.
So is this going to cause some kind of a la carte mutiny as people in their brains add up the amounts that they're having to pay for each one of these groups of channels? They're like, wait a minute, $300 to watch the channels? A la carte is a terrible idea. I want a bundle. And
that's a really interesting idea, right? Because this is the same price that the Showtime app on its own costs, which is roughly the same price you'd pay for adding Showtime to a traditional cable package. But when you suddenly present it as, we have brought you a la carte cable, and it's now going to cost $11 a channel, that sounds horrible.
Would that be like the Xbox offering to give you a la carte Netflix for only $8.99 a month? Right, or $7.99 a month, whatever is the amount.
Yeah, it essentially, right. It's like we have now the Netflix channel or the Hulu channel for $9 a month. I mean, and Fox Soccer Plus is just sports on demand. That's just giving you access to more soccer matches the way you would when you buy like MLB at Bat or the NFL Sunday Ticket. It's a lot cheaper, probably fewer games. I don't know that much about Fox Soccer Plus, but it's not, again, the Fox Soccer channel, which you get as part of the base package from PlayStation View.
I mean, Mr. Green in the chat room says the price isn't the problem. It's just nothing I want. But that's the very nature of a la carte. The promise of an a la carte cable network is that you are not taking the vast majority of channels, which you do not want. I mean, what's really amazing about this idea is us filtering down to exactly what we would pay for. Because the pricing on this, I don't know if it's unreasonable if I was a soccer fanatic and this gave me everything I want. The funny thing is Machinima going for $4. I don't quite know who has watched Machinima's output on YouTube and said, oh, please let me pay $4 a month for it.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, Machinima as a channel, first of all, is something you have to wrap your head around, which is, well, I can just go watch Machinima on YouTube, right? Why would I get it as a linear channel? But then making it $4, compare that to Sling TV. Their add-on packages are $5 and give you at least 5 or 6 channels in most cases. In fact, they just announced that they're adding Turner Classic Movies to their Hollywood Extra package, so they keep increasing those. And that's $5 for multiple channels. And they're saying Machinima will be $4 on its own. If that's a la carte, Fraser, you're absolutely right. This is way too expensive.
So can I get my rearranged deck chairs a la carte on the Titanic?
Yes, you absolutely can.
Okay,
and to your point, Justin, this Machinima channel is not unusual. In fact, the other thing Sling TV added to its core package, the $20 basic package, is Polaris Plus. That's a channel from Maker Studios, which already had one channel on Sling TV. This one is online gaming, comics, pop culture, etc. I turned it on before the show, and they were playing something from PAX East. It looked like it was some kind of tape delayed stuff. That leaves me to another, like, forget even the cost of it right now, because Polaris Plus is just added in extra as part of the base package on Sling TV. Do we want YouTube vessel-like shows in a linear channel as part of these packages? Does that make any sense?
I don't know if we do, but you would have to be dumb not to try, right? Like you would have to want to. I mean, if you are Sling TV, you can get this content for a reasonable amount, or the people that own it want to band together and get on your platform because it extends their reach by some infinitesimal amount at for what you can expect or be promised from it. Then yeah, I mean, it makes sense on all sides that it exists, but I don't personally think that that's how people who experience YouTube videos, if that's something that they would watch. We've seen fairly poor translation of YouTube fame to television fame, for example, and I think that has more to do with just the people not understanding that format in a way that we once did. That is the YouTube generation. So Yeah, we'll see. I don't think so. But then again, I'm not a daily YouTube viewer. I mean, maybe that is something that people thirst for.
We just need to see this all play out, right? We need to see people try the a la carte, people try the bundles, try it on the PlayStation Network, try watching YouTube channels on a traditional television show, and just watch it go through all of its trials and tribulations until it reaches its final inevitable conclusion, which we don't know what it's going to be.
That's not going to stop me
for
from
Sony,
speculating.
the
even as
PlayStation
reasonable
View
as that.
doesn't have. Oh, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead,
Tom.
Justin.
What'd you say?
I just said that's not going to stop me from speculating, as reasonable as Fraser is being.
Oh, certainly not. I mean, but like, let's just look at the View right now against the Sling TV. Sony just kind of has to have a player in the game because it already has a box connected to your television, and this is too big of a growth market for them to not be involved. If Sling TV isn't tremendously viewer friendly and isn't the best possible option, then they're not going to tempt people to get into bed with them. Like, there is a far greater moat that consumers have to go to Sling TV than PlayStation, because theoretically, PlayStation's already talking to people that have PlayStations plugged in that are saying, why do something else? Just get your TV through us.
Yeah, and the problem is they don't have the ABC Disney deal, and Sling does. So you're tempted to say, well, if I have a PlayStation, then I have everything, right? Except you can't get Sling on PlayStation. So you have to have two boxes now. Then this is the closest to a true cable replacement package that we've seen. PlayStation View, I've been playing around with it. It works great. Has a lovely selection of channels. $50 for the base package gets you a lot of stuff. Add Sling TV for $20 and you've got ESPN and Home and Garden. And suddenly you're equal to a package that would cost you around the same amount. And that's the thing. It's not gonna save you money. Arguably might save you a few dollars depending on what your situation is. Arguably might cost more, especially if you're good at keeping those introductory offers from cable companies. But this is the first time where you can say, well, for linear TV, you can definitely replace it without having to deal with a cable company and have a month-by-month control over what you're watching.
But if you're trying to compete with everything, then offering up a service that just allows people to just pick a couple of packages for a reduced amount, I think that makes sense. That's a valid method of competition in this situation. So in other words, I can go the Sling TV or I can go the PlayStation route, and I just want to get a couple of those channels, and that's all I want. And so I'm only going to pay $5 a month or $4 a month or whatever's the amount. So I think it's a good way to kind of get in the door with people, and then they could expand the offering, mix and match the bundles better down the road. So it's not crazy.
Yeah,
well,
I'm still. Go ahead, Justin.
I do think that it is it screams introductory move, right? Like, they don't want to get locked into deals that they're going to be saddled with going forward if this proves to be successful, right? If it's unsuccessful, then I think they can always have room to make more aggressive deals. But that's probably why you haven't seen them strike whatever deal that they might with ABC and Disney, because they don't know what they are going to make from this, and they don't want to make an aggressive deal like Sling TV for whatever. Sling TV can release it because fine, let's make the deal just to get people in the tent, and we'll just see how that goes. With PlayStation, I don't think that they don't want this to capsize or get top heavy before it even launches.
And Sling TV owned by Dish means that they have some experience at the bargaining table with these folks that Sony doesn't necessarily have. Although I'll say PlayStation View, in my experience so far, has streamed quite a bit smoother and had fewer bugs than Sling TV. But I'm still kind of hung up on these weird Polaris Plus, Maker Channel, Machinima channels. I feel like the reason I want this linear streaming is for turn it off and forget watching. And I could see an argument that something like Machinima or even the Maker Polaris channel could be that for a certain type of audience. So maybe, like Justin's saying, I'm just not that audience. On the other hand, I feel like you need to have something that's, I don't know, like conference coverage, which is what they're doing on Polaris Plus. Maybe that's good. Maybe that even in reruns works because you just turn it on and watch. But that kind of, there's definitely a difference between what Netflix is doing with episodic television as the replacement for prime time and what you see from an ESPN or a Home and Garden network or a Bravo, where you don't care what's on, you're just turning it on.
Well, I mean, what Sling TV is, I mean, like for Maker, I assume that they are getting some kind of carriage fee from Sling TV. And if they're not, then they just want to get this in front of eyeballs because they can sell advertising on it, and they've made some sort of carriage deal that doesn't involve money. For Sling TV, they're basically in the same position that cable companies have been in forever, which is throw as much stuff against the wall in our core package so somebody reviewing our offerings says, oh, that's for me. Let me sign up for the service.
Yeah, in the early days of ZDTV, you had to pay to get on cable if you didn't have a lot of subscribers. So you're right. That could be what's going on. Maybe not paying, but maybe some kind of barter, rev share type of deal.
Yeah, I mean, it just works for both. You know, and a lot of times these cable, I don't know if this is what's happening with Maker or Maker has any deal with Dish, but a lot of the cable companies buy into the networks, just so they can get them on and make it cheaper for everybody.
All right, we're going to take a break, and I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that Brian Brushwood is stuck in France and we need your support to get him back. But if you want to go to patreon.com/cordkillers and help out the show, you might see Brian again next week.
Look at him there. He just looks so sad.
Remember him? Remember Brian?
Yeah. What will it take to
we
bring? How
want
many
to see him
patrons
again next week, and I'm not.
would it take to bring him back?
I'm not saying there's a connection between becoming a Patreon and getting Brian.
2,200
not saying
patrons,
that.
maybe.
But I'm just saying, if we went from 21, 27 patrons, thank you to every single one of you bosses, to like 5,000, guaranteed Brian's coming back next week. Patreon.com/cordkillers.
We can't be sure.
Brian's fate not in your hands, but if you want to
also
be
kind of in your hands.
Could we almost guarantee that Justin and I will just be back week after week until the subscriber?
Yeah, we're actually
the
like
vengeful
spirits. You can't expel us from the podcast until certain Patreon goals are met.
Patreon.com/cordkillers. I don't know. That might be an inducement for people not to pledge. You guys are awesome.
No. We'll start tearing things up.
We'll get a lot worse.
Yeah.
We'll get as terrible
the
as
more
we
you pledge,
need
the better they
for
get.
you to bring Brian home.
Yeah. Have I mentioned how great Comcast is? Loyal customers since 08.
Do you want to keep hearing this, people? Patreon.com/cordkillers. Hurry.
I'm going to spoil all the things at random times. I don't care when.
Signals Intelligence is next. Hey, this is the part of the show where we talk about the streaming services you use to watch your shows, or the services. Sometimes they're not even streaming. In this case, they are. Hulu has officially changed its name of the Hulu Plus tier to Hulu. So now, if you're watching the free version, which used to be just called Hulu, it's still called Hulu. But if you're watching the paid version of Hulu, which used to be called Hulu Plus, it's now also called Hulu. This was done to eliminate confusion. Make sense to you guys?
Okay, so this is funny because they did a thing that makes it more confusing when they said they weren't going to be more confusing and they wanted it to be less confusing. Got it? Cool. But what if this is just them being backwards in moving to a super limited free option that is effectively almost a free trial, or something that is crippled to the point that people don't want to use it or couldn't be expected to use it as an everyday free option like it is now, and instead moved specifically to a subscription service. If this is in preparation for that, A, I don't know why you would do the name first, but B, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. That right now, the part that's confusing about Hulu, in that I have to understand, because in Canada we don't get Hulu and we don't get any of this stuff. But from what I understand from you guys talking about it, the fact is that with now, you're not sure, like, if I pay for Hulu, I still get ads? Why does this happen? So what is the difference between regular Hulu, Hulu Plus? Now there's just Hulu, and you just pay for it, sort of like Netflix. You understand Netflix, don't you?
Yeah, and I feel like it's a presumptive sell, right? Where they've decided, and Justin, you're right about that. If this actually makes the entire package easier to understand, then I'm all for it. And having one name is a step towards that, and that makes sense. What was confusing is that they had this weird thing where like, well, things are free in the browser, but if you use a mobile device, they're not free. Oh, but we have some free trial stuff on the mobile device now, but not all the same stuff that's free on the browser. Just get rid of that. I would rather it be entirely for pay than to have this weird, I don't know if I can actually watch this thing on this device right now without paying. Just make it, you pay us, you get to watch all this stuff. I don't think that's what they're going to do. They're going to leave some stuff free as a trial, but it does sort of change the presumption of if you're watching Hulu, hey, you might luck into watching some things for free, but if you want to be sure, just pay us.
I kind of wonder whether or not Hulu just isn't going to suffer from being the first one in the door. Because now, and I can see it in the chat, and I think that this would be widespread, that if Hulu decided, hey, everybody and their mom is a subscription service these days, how about your old pal Hulu? When's it going to be Hulu's time where everybody smiles and puts money in our hand? And they're going to try and move more in that direction. And I don't blame them because everybody has their hand out now and is willing to make very fair, deals with its populace. And yet Hulu will always be the place where you got stuff for free. And if they ask you to pay, their most loyal customers will always blanch.
But I like this idea of there being a place that is for everybody else. Like with Netflix, you're going to pay your $7.99, $11.99 in Canada amount, and you're going to get the shows. You're going to get the shows they've negotiated deals with, and you're going to get the stuff that they've created. But I love this idea of a place where they're experimenting with this mixing and matching. Right? It's free, but you can get ads. Or it costs a certain amount a month and you'll get a certain amount of ads, or you'll pay even more and you'll get absolutely no ads. Because I actually think there's a ton of room at the bottom for sort of like the vast group of people out there who, like YouTube, want to just be able to watch everything and pay for their time with ads. And I still think that none of the premium networks have really tested this out yet. I think Hulu is the one to really do that experimentation because the members that make them up understand advertising. They already are doing deals with potential advertisers on ABC and CBS and all those places, and so they could do deals on Hulu as well. And I think to just go subscription kind of cuts all that out.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, that Hulu is facing the reality that their lords and masters, basically every major broadcast network in the U.S. minus CBS, are trying to figure out how to get out of Hulu. Hulu has an embarrassingly rich library of stuff because they get all of the broadcast stuff. They even get some CBS stuff now too through a separate agreement, but from their owners. Justin, I think you're absolutely right. That is the first mover disadvantage for them right now, because now those networks are saying, well, we could be getting more money if we did this, or we put it in our own app like CBS is doing, or we struck a deal with a Netflix or an Amazon Prime. And so Hulu, you see moving towards more originals. You see them moving towards buying more back catalog access, like Seinfeld, they're making a big deal about. So unfortunately, Fraser, I think they are headed towards becoming a subscription service as they watch the magic that made them fall away. And I wonder, once you start to not be able to get those broadcast shows on Hulu, if that happens, whether they could survive that transition. Maybe they'll be able to keep it, though. I could be wrong.
Well, no, I mean, they will try to keep them. They will try to keep the product that they have become successful on together. The difference is price on the package is going up, because they're not going to have those sweetheart deals forever. Remember, why Hulu was created was a last-ditch effort at the time by content creators to stem the tide of all these things ending up on YouTube pirated. So they said, okay, if people are going to watch this stuff for free, we might as well at least sell ads on it. So let's go ahead and make it easier with Hulu Plus for people to watch it and keep them off YouTube. Let's at least use our content to our advantage. Times have changed. Now there's plenty of places where these content creators can sell exclusive rights for a lot of money for digital-only runs. So we're going to see. I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting to see where Hulu goes. But at the same time, I wouldn't be shocked if it's gone in 3 years.
Now, just to be clear, all of that speculation aside, the only thing that actually changed, just going back to the story, is they dropped the Hulu Plus name. They haven't changed the subscription terms. They're still free on the browser. All of that is the same. So we're just having a good conversation about what might happen next, what this is preparatory for, because Hulu has given a lot of signals that they are going to change other things. And this is obviously
Are you tired with your base level of Hulu? Upgrade to Hulu. None of those annoying ads like in Hulu. None of those annoying restrictions. Hulu. It's better than Hulu.
Hulu with 2 U's. All right, let's gear up. Talking about the boxes, the things you use to watch the things. And Roku. Roku's probably one of the most popular boxes out there. It may not sell as many as Apple TV, but it is a very popular seller. It's the one that has the most wide variety of apps, at least here in the United States. And they've partnered up with an interactive ad company called Innovid to make interactive advertising easier for the channel makers to provide you. So those ads can now have games in them or quizzes or videos while you're just watching something on your TV, and you interact with it with your remote. Launch partners include CBS, so you'll see these kinds of ads showing up in the CBS News app, CBS Sports, CNET, GameSpot apps. Vivo is also a partner. Crackle is also a partner. And it will be part of the Roku SDK, so they say they've got a dozen more apps that are going to come online with this shortly. They are going to make it available for anybody who makes any Roku app, so you could see it anywhere. And the people who have been testing it, they were testing it on Crackle for a while, say that it resulted in viewers spending a little more time with ads. In fact, it doubled the time of a pre-roll because people started messing around with the ad. You can even do something soon with this framework, like buy a movie ticket or have a reminder sent to your cell phone through SMS when a show is airing or a movie comes into theater, something like that. Here's the question. Every network wants this on their Roku app, and it's not that hard to implement. Every advertiser wants to do this because it's going to increase time spent viewing with their ad, and who wouldn't want that? Do we, the viewers, see any reason why we want this?
We would like people to keep making digital content.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're going to go right to the like, well, it sucks, but we got to make money somehow. I'm just wondering if there's value to this as a viewer to be like, well, actually, if you give me the chance to like set reminders or find out a little more about a product, maybe that's positive.
Yeah. Well, just think about all the product placement, right? When you're watching a show and they're eating a Subway and you could buy one right now and they're showing a various kind of car and you could see whether you can get it in your favorite color. But I think Justin's exactly right that if people are going to spend twice as much time with the ads, then advertisers theoretically are going to be willing to pay more money, twice as much money per minute per CPM. So that will help to be able to afford more and more content. So I think that's all. If you're going to suffer through ads anyway, you might as well get more digital content thanks to those ads.
You know, it's a sign of maturation for the platform. Roku building in the idea or building in the ability to have rich ads into their SDKs. It means that more traditional media partners are going to want to create compelling products on their platform, and it gives an ability for smaller independent companies or even roll your own channels to make a little bit of scratch if they find dedicated viewers. Should we be excited about it? I mean, I don't know, maybe. Like in terms of ads, it'd be nice if they're smarter, although I don't quite know how many times I've looked at an ad and said like, oh, yes, finally, if I could only interact with you, I would like you better. Oh, no.
If only you could text message me later,
Force me.
Advertisement. Yeah. You don't hear that too often. I'm with you, Justin, and I think the positive aspect, if you can draw one out of here, because I know if Brian were with us today, he might say that there are people out there that think this is an awful idea. But there is definitely the idea that the reason we don't have as much available on internet platforms like Roku is that advertisers haven't moved their big budgets over there. Part of the reason they haven't moved their big budgets is because the audience isn't there yet, but part of the reason is that they don't want to take the risk. They know they're not going to get fired for buying primetime television. Whereas if they put an ad on a Roku app, the boss is going to want to see it do something extra because it's new and weird. This is a way to prove that. It's a way to bring in more money, raise the amount of digital advertising, which tends to be underpriced compared to traditional advertising, and show that there's a reason to take the risk because you can find out a little more detail about and give a little more detail to the folks that you're advertising to. So this could possibly accelerate the attention given to apps on a platform like Roku.
I feel really bad. Have we let Brian down here? Let me take another crack at this.
All right.
This is a terrible thing. This is just going to be more app. It's going to get more invasive, and we're just going to have to see this all the time. And the ads are going to get like right into our dreams if this just keeps up. And I think this is a terrible thing.
You're crazy, Fraser. It's not going to happen. You just don't interact with it. You have a choice.
They're not going to give me a choice. They're just not going to let me choose. They're just going to show up advertising everywhere. It's going to be all over my house until it just every day, every second of my time is spent watching advertisements. So that's the horrible future that we're ushering. And is that what you want?
I know you're kind of joking around, which is funny, but I do think that there is an element that we can discuss that I don't mind ads being tried out on this platform because unlike previous ones where the government decided what radio stations got to broadcast into your home, there's a tremendous pay barrier for people to start up television networks, especially broadcast ones, which are also federally regulated. Digital subscription services and free channels on the Roku platform are tremendously dependent on viewers. If you launch a very invasive and terrible ad platform, you will be punished for it by your viewers and your entire platform could go down. So I don't mind people playing around because I feel like the bite back, if it sucks and is super invasive, will be far quicker.
That makes me really hesitant to say this next thing, but buy my book, TomMerrittBooks.com.
Oh, look at that.
It's the year in tech history.
I
You can
had
read all
this
about tech
dream
history.
last night, and in this dream there was this fabulous book called The Year in Tech History, and now it turns out it's a real thing.
Yeah. It's not a dream anymore, Fraser. It's for real. All 366 days. We even put a leap day in there and illustrations by Scott Johnson. So yeah, if you're into tech history, Brian and I have other ways that we keep ourselves going. And one of mine is writing these books. So there's a couple novels on there as well. Go check it out. There's free versions of stuff too. If you just want to try it out, TomMerrittBooks.com. Let us go to the front lines now.
Front lines.
All right, YouTube announced something called Newswire. It's a partnership with Storify that makes it easier to access verified eyewitness videos. Storify does this where they look at crowdsourced video and they say, yeah, that's real, that's not faked, that event actually happened. YouTube Newswire will feature both global and regional feeds and will be available not only on youtube.com/newswire, but also at Twitter, on YouTube Newswire, and as an email newsletter. Its feed will include videos focused on news, weather, and politics. I looked at the channel kind of skeptical, like, well, this seems like a resource for TV stations, which it is meant for in part, but you can kind of use it as just your 24-hour news station as well.
Certainly so. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting proposition for people, who, like you said, work in media, and it gives. YouTube is already a place where a lot of news stations pick up this stuff. It's already well cited. Now it can have its own news brand. That's a win-win. Yeah,
and its brand is just people who are like, there was one about a Cessna crash that I watched right before the show. It was somewhere up in Canada, actually, and it was something that had just happened, and you don't even know like what the outcome of it was, but this was something that real happened, breaking news, here it is. I found it to be really, I don't know, it fascinated me. It captured me that you could see like the real breaking news without any commentary on this.
I got two questions. One, will I get my YouTube channel pulled if I use those clips in my live show? So it would be nice to know that they are somehow, it's certified, like the copyright is certified as well as a news agency. So not only do I know that it's legit, but I'm also cleared to use the clip, or if I want to purchase the clip, or if I want to purchase the rights to the clip, I know who I can go to. Because Otherwise, it's just copyright infringement city.
No, it's a great question because it is useless to everyone if you're going to get slapped with a content ID strike anytime you try to use this. It's meant as a newswire. I'm sure YouTube has an explanation of this. In fact, Google just launched something called News Lab today, and so we'll look into that. Or if anybody knows, email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Vessel, the video subscription service, has an open beta of their Android app now available on the Google Play Store. Works on any Android 4.1 or later device. Vessel recently claiming their creators are earning more than $50 per 1,000 views. So apparently somebody is paying to watch Vessel right now.
This encouraged me to submit my show to Vessel. So we'll see if reading this news, we'll see if I get in their program.
So the deal with Vessel, though, is that you have to delay it, right? You give it to Vessel for a limited period of time. Usually it's something around 48, 72 hours ahead of where you post it everywhere else. You're cool with that?
Super cool. I already do that with the patrons for our Patreon campaign. So I'd be glad to do that.
But you would have to be exclusive. So
no,
you would have to
48 hours to 72 hours, right? Not exclusive.
Yeah, but it would muck with your patron stuff.
I would release it to both at the same time.
I don't know if Vessel will let you do that.
Aha.
Yeah, that's not
I'll have
Vessel's.
to strike some other deal with the patrons then. This is a pickle. I'll cross this ethical divide when I get accepted into their program.
When you get accepted, yeah.
We have not heard from creators. I mean, Vessel is saying that they're paying $50 per 1,000 views, which is a very high CPM for additional content. But have we heard from the creators what those Vessel checks are looking like?
I haven't. I'm sure Brian knows because he's on Vessel, but I haven't heard from him about it.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know how much Brian knows.
Well, yeah, he may not know either, actually.
Yeah,
That's true,
we don't
'cause it's
really know. And I think
Bryce has the answer, which is we don't know either.
Doesn't YouTube have like an NDA thing where you are not allowed to talk about any of that stuff?
Well, YouTube wouldn't matter here, but Vessel might.
I'm just saying it might be a similar sort of deal.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels like something that someone should poke into. If you or someone you know is a Vessel Vessel affiliated YouTube channel, and you would like to anonymously feed Cordkillers your financial data, please do that because I'm very curious.
Bill Simmons is reportedly talking to HBO about a series that would include a bunch of digital presence as well as HBO main presence. He's also supposedly talking to Fox Sports and considering an independent operation. But, this is kind of the world is your oyster now, right? Everybody's thinking that Jon Stewart's going to do this. Letterman might do something like this. Going independent. Why would Bill Simmons go to HBO when he could take it on his own?
Because Bill Simmons doesn't have a television network that beams into so many people's homes. I feel, all right, I'm willing to call my shot on this Bill Simmons thing. What's going to happen?
All right.
HBO has a great relationship with websites Vice and Funny or Die. I believe that we are going to see an independent Bill Simmons-centric website backed by venture capital that uses his 30 for 30 type programming and his like Grantland basketball hour kind of stuff on HBO. He'll find a willing partner there for those kind of long-form documentaries and sports content. And this could be an overall deal with Time Warner, which would mean he gets on the TNT channel, which has basketball, which is his primary brand. I would not be shocked if we saw him affiliated with TNT, HBO, and debuting his new website before the end of the year.
I knew you would know this. That's why I put this story in here, because that all makes sense to me, because it takes the best of the independent play, which I think he would be almost ridiculous to pass up. And then
he doesn't need anybody on the web. He doesn't need anybody to do
the
a
benefits
podcasting
of
network,
having
and he
an
doesn't
HBO.
need anybody to do a blog. He can take money for that. He can get a staff.
And then
can
he's building
recreate
value in that's all his. Nobody can take it away from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then he's playing in our arena, right? Independent, owning your own blog network, things like that. You'll see how hard it is on this side of the
So is
digital
Glenn
fence.
Beck, making millions. He's not even tied to any network now.
Yeah.
What are we doing wrong?
Not being Glenn Beck.
We'll see. But HBO has always been kind of, to me, a likely landing spot, at the very least, to become a producer for documentaries, because he created 30 for 30 as he stated that the 30 for 30 series was him saying, why does only HBO do good sports docs? Why can't ESPN do good sports documentaries? So it makes sense for him to go to HBO.
Yeah, and they've got Bill Maher for politics. They've got John Oliver for comedy talk show. Why not have Bill Simmons for a sports talk show and then get the documentaries to boot? Makes perfect sense. I don't even know if they have to do the TNT type thing. Maybe because those are different divisions. I'm not sure how cooperative they are, but it's an interesting spin to it that could be added on.
I mean, he has said in the past that he wanted to go with whoever had the basketball contract, and that if ESPN refused to bid on the basketball contract, he would look to leave ESPN. So I only say that because he has been very, very vocal on being affiliated with a network that has basketball, and TNT is the only other game in town aside from ESPN.
TechCrunch has an oddly vague write-up of an 18-month-old French company called Molotov, which claims to have found a new way to watch TV. They call it a virtual TV provider. They describe it as Spotify, Deezer, or Netflix for regular TV. They've struck deals with broadcast networks in France. It works on your TV, your laptop, your phone, and your tablet, and enters beta this summer, when I guess we'll finally see what it really is. From what I gathered reading the article, you guys, it sounds like what they're trying to do is create an interface for broadcast television and maybe cable television as well. That is more like a Netflix or a Hulu, where you just see shows and then you can click into them and watch them. But the back end, instead of a library of on-demand videos, is your actual broadcast networks.
Well, that's going to be good for the people who perhaps like to put on Home and Garden in the background while they're hanging out around their house and just looking for some way to kind of fill the loneliness. But I think for me, I want to be able to choose what shows I want to watch.
Well, but that's what this is. This is actually the opposite of what you're saying, I think. And maybe I'm not describing it very well. This is not turn on a channel and watch whatever's on. This is discover what's available for you to watch from all of these networks that you have access to, instead of having to look at some guide and read every little line.
But then can I go back and binge watch the whole thing?
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't
So
see
it's
why
like
not.
it's like a virtual TV that allows you to watch local channels and some cable networks. Are we positive that Aereo didn't just walk out back, draw a mustache on its face, and come back in and say, "Oh no, it's not Aereo, it's my French cousin Molotov. He's from Paris. How unique! Ooh la la."
Our Aereo, I sold that. I mean, that name's owned by TiVo. I couldn't possibly be Aereo. With a horrible accent. I guess we'll find out this summer. Cablevision CEO James Dolan was speaking to an audience of investors hosted by Guggenheim Partners, and because he thought he was just among the 1%, said, let you in on a secret, people. Nobody's paying for cable bundles. That demand's going to drop by 25% over the next 5 years, and we're going to have to raise rates on broadband internet if we want to make it up.
James Dolan, bringing the same trademark leadership that has led the Knicks to the laughingstock of the NBA. He's a clown. I don't really know. I mean, I think obviously there's a trend in people paying less for cable bundles, but I don't know. I have no idea what to make of Cablevision beyond the fact that James Dolan is a self-aggrandizing clown.
Every time I go and look in my swimming pool filled with money, it's a little lower, and the backstroke is a little harder to do as I jump into it.
Cablevision, on the other hand, James Dolan aside, has always been on the forefront of, we're going to work with Netflix. We're going to put their servers in our ISP. They've been willing to do that, typical of a company that's playing from behind. But yeah, 25% over the next 5 years. I don't know where he's pulling that number out of, but I kind of think he's right that it's declining. And it's going to keep declining.
And here's why he wants to say it, is because he wants that to be on record, because that's going to be the first sentence out of his mouth and Cablevision's mouth when they sit down for people to renegotiate their rights. I mean, these fights continue to get uglier and bloodier and longer. And every time that they're going to sit down across from somebody who wants to up their rights fee, he's going to say, look, dude, tide's going the other way. we're making less and less and less money. So you better stow that I want more per channel, or sorry, more per subscriber talk, because we're rolling it back. Well, we're going to pay you less going forward.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That this does help him at the negotiating table tremendously. It also helps him when he has to raise those rates for faster broadband on Cablevision.
Well, I mean, which is the unfortunate part about that. It's like, really? Do you have to? I mean, like really, like you are just subsidizing. You're finding a new way to subsidize bad deals you made for rights fees with cable networks.
Let's move on then. Leave James Dolan in our rear view mirror, but keep him under surveillance.
Not like real estate. It's all about location.
Under surveillance.
It's finally happening. Starz has greenlighted a season of American Gods. It'll be written and produced as we expected by Brian Fuller and Michael Green. Production begins once they cast Shadow Moon. So start your Shadow Moon casting speculation, gentlemen.
I will begin. The speculation. I don't know who. I love that book so much. And the fact it's going to be made into a TV show
Brian
is
Fuller?
just...
Like, forget
with
Starz.
Brian Fuller, like, this is
Brian
the
Fuller.
best.
Yeah? You're
Neil
positive
Gaiman,
about
Brian
this?
Fuller, I am on board. Let's do it.
Which, by the way, might have a little bit more time on his hands because Hannibal, late breaking news, has been not renewed by NBC. Who knows whether or not it'll end up on another network or an online offering. What's the best show Starz has ever done? Pop quiz, hot chat.
Outlander.
Which not exactly universally praised, right?
Yeah, it is.
I
Pretty
just watched the
universally
first
praised.
episode of Spartacus last night. It was not good.
Oh, I love Spartacus.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Should
I mean, I
tough
can't
through it
even
then?
say why. I mean, it's just Spartacus, Blood and Sand, of course, is the first season. And I think
That's
it was
what I
described
watched, yeah.
I think it was described by Aisha Tyler as words for a woman's top things and a man's bottom things, because that is what is shown alongside the decapitations in Spartacus quite a bit. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
So what you're saying is not, I mean, because the production is made by Brian Fuller, Hannibal, Pushing Daisies, Michael Green, The River, and Heroes. But what you're saying is Starz will have their fingers in it and they might mess it up?
no, it's just that there's only so much content that they've created that anyone's really thought is good. It looks here on Rotten Tomatoes that 93% of people like Outlander. I have not heard tremendously positive things about it, but who knows? I think, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for it. I have not read American Gods, so I am unqualified to say that it's going to be awesome based on the source material, although I trust all my friends who love it. I just kind of wonder, whenever it goes to a network that does not have a great track record, whether or not it's going to live up to its potential in the way that Game of Thrones going to HBO just made all the sense in the world, because if anyone was going to make a gigantic epic fantasy series work, it was going to be HBO.
Or AMC or Netflix. You could trust that it was going to be great on any of those networks.
Well, and I would say beyond just creatively giving it its druthers in terms of money, HBO has done a lot of big budget stuff with big budget stars and have written the check to make it work. And that, I think, is what separates Game of Thrones on HBO versus even AMC or Netflix, which might have written a bigger check than they're used to, but just can't match the same type of money that HBO can throw at us stuff.
Pray it's not sci-fi.
Aaron Paul, you might know him from Breaking Bad, will be lead in a Hulu show coming this winter called The Way. It's from Jason Katims of Friday Night Lights and Parenthood fame. Aaron Paul will play a member of a controversial faith group struggling with disillusionment and ennui. I like Aaron Paul.
I like
What's the best
television.
Hulu show ever made?
What is Booth at the End, which was a co-production with I can't remember which network. It was a Canadian network.
I mean, you gotta wonder whether or not. Do we know what the episode order on this is?
Misfits, which was also a co-production. Yeah, I don't know what the episode order. It didn't say anything in the Verge story about the episode order here.
Because if it's like 6 episodes, then who cares? You know, it's probably an idea that Jason Katims wasn't able to sell. It's a paycheck for Aaron Paul. I think we all just hope that Aaron Paul, you know, he was such a delight and such a surprise in Breaking Bad that I think everybody has kind of hoped for, you know, the next thing that he does that captures our hearts because we want to spend more time with him.
It's going to be a 10-episode series.
Thanks, Bryce. That change your mood, Justin?
No, I mean it's a reasonably short episode order. It's something that you can probably shoot in, you know, a relatively short amount of time.
I got so much on Mr. White, about faith. Actually, that's the thing. He's trying to break out of being Jesse Pinkman, and he has yet to shed that.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about what we've been watching.
The Price is Right episode that he's on.
Yeah, well, he had to shed that to become Jesse Pinkman.
So, you know, he has range.
He does. What you been watching there, Fraser? What's been filling your eyeballs these days?
Well, I don't want to spoiler in time, but I watched the first episode of True Detective. I have also watched Jurassic World, and I have been watching Silicon Valley. And not much else. Oh, and the first episode of Spartacus, which I have decided we're not going to watch any more of that.
All right, well, good to know that. We'll go over True Detective in spoiler in time. We're gonna recap Silicon Valley because Brian hasn't been watching it. He says he's gonna watch it, but we've all watched it, and we'll revisit Jurassic World. I want to get your thoughts on that as well. Justin, what have you been watching lately?
Been catching up on this little show. You know, we like to bring you the hidden gems on Cordkillers, and I'm here to let you know that there's a show called Daredevil. It's about a blind guy. I'm not going to spoil much, but it's very fun. I'm halfway through, and I think it's exceptional. I finished up, of course, Silicon Valley and Game of Thrones last week with the rest of America, and I saw Inside Out, which I think was exceptional.
Maybe we'll talk a little bit about Inside Out as well. I watched it yesterday.
I got a couple more premieres, actually, that I watched. I watched Dark Matter from Sci-Fi, which I had forgotten.
And
I've seen Ascension. So I feel like I've really been going after like low-quality sci-fi shows.
I was going to say, is the fact that you forgot to mention them pretty much your review, or were...
No, Dark Matter was terrible.
Okay, all right. I watched episodes 6 through 8 of Sense8, and since Brian's not here, we won't be talking about it on Spoiler in Time, but just to give you the non-spoilery review, I can see where people would fall off on this, especially, I'm curious about Brian, people who aren't into just character profiles but want to see something happening, because that part of the story, the sci-fi, you know, spiritual, psychologically abnormal part of the story is really in slow motion right now. But episode 8, you actually finally get a little bit of a payoff about that. But I really like all these characters, and I'm enjoying spending time with them. I watched Silicon Valley. I've watched episodes 2 through 4 of Orange is the New Black. I have to say, I think I might be enjoying this series more in this season than I have in the first 2. Finally caught up on Despicable Me 2. We rented that on the Apple TV, and didn't like it as much as the first Despicable Me. I got to be honest. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm despicable. And of course, The Shield. We'll talk about that in Spoiler in Time, True Detective, and Inside Out. Bryce, you've been on the lookout for some cool stuff for us. What have you found?
That's right. I actually got this as a tip at cordkillers@gmail.com from Kevin. From Kevin. You guys know a little creator named Paul Feig?
Bridesmaids guy, right?
The director of Bridesmaids, the creator of Geeks and Freaks.
Freaks and Geeks. And is it Feig or Feig?
That's a good question.
I'd always heard it as Feig, but I might just be wrong.
It's Feig, so I'm inclined to go with the E, the Feig sound. Anyway, he's got a show that came out earlier this year on Yahoo Screen called Other Space. We've talked about this on the show before. It is a sci-fi sitcom about a inexperienced crew that they are on a ship to plot the universe and end up in another universe altogether and have to find their way home. It's got Joel and Trace from Mystery Science Theater 3000. One of them plays a character, and one of them actually plays a little robot. And it's really funny. It's kind of cheap looking. It's kind of got a cheesy sort of sci-fi feel, but it's the writing is very funny. I think it's a mixture between The Office and Hitchhiker's Guide. You see a lot of Michael Scott in the lead character as someone who would rather lie and make things worse than to make someone feel bad.
It felt very similar to Red Dwarf. I actually, it started pretty weak, but then got stronger and stronger. And halfway through the series, my girlfriend and I were both just laughing out loud quite a lot. And I would say it's definitely worth your time to watch this series.
Yeah, definitely. It's on Yahoo Screen now. It's available 10 episodes. They're half hours. They're pretty much kind of family friendly, teenager, young adults. It's 8 episodes, half hours on Yahoo Screen. You can get that as an app on Apple TV, mobile devices, and on your computer.
By the way, confirmed, it is Paul Feig. Feeg is how he pronounced it written out.
Ah, okay.
He said it technically should be Feig, but I know there are other Feigs in the business.
A fie on those.
A fie on you.
Let's move on to some dispatches from the front.
Front.
Got this little letter from Rob. Was sent over on a lovely piece of onion skin with calligraphy. It was an email. He said, it's the story of Stephen Quartz Universe, an 11-year-old boy whose parents are Greg Universe, a former rock musician who now runs a car wash and lives in his van, and Rose Quartz, an immortal alien hero who protects the Earth for thousands of years before giving up her physical form to bring Stephen into the world, follows Stephen as he tries to grow into his mother's legacy and join the Crystal Gems, Earth's Protectors. Series is the creation of Rebecca Sugar, who is responsible for the best episodes and songs of Adventure Time before she left the show to create this one. First 35 episodes are on Hulu Plus, and all eps to date can be brought from the major online marketplaces. You may be asking, Tom, you told me the description, but what the heck is the actual show? And I'm trying to find that because I cut and paste errored that one right into the lineup there. So give me a second, unless one of you guys knows.
You know, the thing about this is what I like about it is that it very often involves characters with not only names but dialogue. I find that those characters that don't have names or dialogue are less than the ones that do.
Is this the show, Steven Universe?
Yes.
Thank you, Steven Universe. Makes sense. Stephen Quartz Universe.
Yeah, it's a cute it's a cute show, but it's got a lot of depth and some not adult themes, but there's a real serial story going on.
Matt Marr from Sterling, Virginia said, I was a little disappointed at how negative you guys were about TiVo adding streaming access through web browsers on local computers. Okay, I get it. I'd also like to be able to open my laptop on vacation and bring up my recordings. Who knows, maybe they'll add that. But for now, I'm happy that I can at least do that within my own home. Fair point, Matt. Maybe we were a little too negative about it. My point was that, well, I can buy a Slingbox and do a lot more than that and not even have to pay a fee. But all right. Meanwhile, Whistle wrote in and said, first review of TiVo Online. Not only does it make you log into your TiVo account and your cable company account, it just plain doesn't work. Not tonight, not here. I've been waiting to stream a video I know is on my TiVo, the latest Big Bang Theory, for like 10 minutes so far. Silly spinning wheel is all I get. I don't see this becoming a habit quickly. And actually, that's my biggest answer to that is I couldn't get this thing to work either. I don't know if you guys even have a TiVo, but yeah.
I think that certainly this is better than nothing, and I think that's what the first emailer, Matt from Virginia, was getting to. But we're in a boom period for these kinds of products, and if you are not up to snuff with what is already out there, and a lot of aggressive people getting it right, then I think it is right to criticize you. This is not the era where we're really just excited that anybody's getting involved anymore.
And finally, Ryan in Iowa has a Sling TV tip. If you're a Sling TV provider, he says, as we know, Sling TV offers ESPN and ESPN2. You can download the Watch ESPN app as well, though. Log in with Sling TV credentials and watch ESPN 3 programming. I was able to watch the NBA Finals on ESPN3 too. In fact, I think you can get all the ESPN channels on Watch ESPN unless they've plugged that little leak, which means you don't have to pay for the sports pack on Sling TV to get like ESPNU or the SEC network, any of those ESPN run networks.
So you're saying that those are on ESPN3 or on Sling?
Those are on Watch ESPN, and when you log in and authenticate with Sling TV, the last time I tried, I could watch them all.
Huh. Well,
Yeah.
man, kids these days.
With their workarounds and their hackeries. Well, that's sports, folks. And that's it for the show. We survived. Thanks to Fraser Kane and Justin Robert Young. You guys are the best. Really appreciate you stepping in, filling in Brian's absence. Someday we hope to get him back. But until then, they might want to find out more Fraser Kane. Where can they go?
Well, they can always go to my website, which is universetoday.com, and as well as my YouTube channel, which is YouTube/UniverseToday. F. Kane on the Twitters. And I'm going to shamelessly promote something that's going to happen in about a week from now, which is that we're going to be doing the 4th, I think, live broadcast of a sort of interview with the science team from NASA New Horizons. So we are now like 2 weeks. We'll be 2 weeks away from the close encounter of New Horizons to Pluto, and we're going to be talking with the science team about it. So this is going to be awesome.
Very exciting. I'm actually a big, I don't want to say a big New Horizons fan, but I'm really excited about that project and the fact that it's getting close. I mean, Pluto was officially a planet when that was launched, and they've reclassified it since.
Yeah, this mission has been traveling for more than 10 years now, and we're finally going to get a chance to see what Pluto looks like up close, and I could not be more excited. And I really appreciate the folks from New Horizons letting me join them and help kind of throw questions at them, and it's been really exciting. So, yeah.
That's very cool, man. Check it out, Universe Today. Yeah. Justin Robert Young, my friend, where can folks what of your many amazing creations would you like to let folks know about?
I would like to let folks know about the new season of FSL Tonight, which features both you and I calling action from the best sports league in this or any other galaxy. You can go ahead and check it out at fsltonight.com. I would say if you like this show and you like Tom and you haven't turned it off because I'm on, then you should go ahead and check it out. Listen to the first episode. Don't worry if you're confused. That just means it's working.
That tingling sensation in your brain means it's working. The Cylon Raiders picked up a really good player off waivers. LA Guardians of the Galaxy out to a good start. Check it out at fsltonight.com. And our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on diamondclub.tv. An amazing place to watch all kinds of cool stuff. Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. At least. We'll see you next week.
Hey guys, Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
let's go.
It's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.